I shifted her. What do you want with me?
So I just had a chance to see the new Christian movie from Angel Studios called The Shift. Got a chance to go on a date night with my wife to check it out. I'm not going to give away any spoilers in the movie, so no need to fast forward through anything or to cover your ears and go on mute. But I will give you an overall synopsis of the movie so you know what to expect once you go see it.
I shifted her. What do you want with me? This is not my world. I've never been to this lake before. Never walked its shores. But I will find my way back. And I will find my way back to my mommy.
First of all, I will say that it's good to see that more and more faith-based movies are coming out. You had movies such as this movie, The Shift. You had a movie about Phil Robertson that recently came out. You had some other movies coming out. It's good to see that more and more movies are being made by faith-based directors and made for a faith-based audience. Now let's get into this movie. Let's start with what I liked about the movie. I did like that the movie had a theme that appeared to be centered on the book of Job. So it did have a Christian theme, because a lot of times when you go to watch these Christian movies, they're not Christian at all, right? They have no resemblance to what we would consider a Christian movie. I mean, I remember turning on multiple movies that I thought were Christian to find out that they weren't. So nevertheless, I will give them credit for this. And also I will say that the cinematography and the visuals and those kind of things were good in this movie. You must understand something about this movie. This is a Christian sci-fi kind of movie dealing with the multiverse.
Station, stop what you're doing and stop Spider-Man.
And if you don't know what the multiverse is, that has been made very, very popular recently in Marvel movies and in the Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, and those kind of movies. Now, in addition to that, you have to understand in this movie, there is one thing that is missing throughout the movie, and it's the most central theme of the book of Job: God. You may say, how is God missing in this movie? Well, let me explain. If you know anything about the book of Job, and just to give you a review of the book of Job, things started happening to Job because people think, a lot of Christians think things started happening to Job because God took away the hedge from Job. No, Job had fear that led to God removing the hedge, because you can't have fear and faith. Fear opens the door to the devil. So Job's fear opened the door to the devil. But nevertheless, it was the devil that was doing these things to Job, but Job thought it was God. So the movie has that in it, but it doesn't do a very great job to explain that. If somebody was dropping in, I know the directors and the producers say this is a modern day telling of the book of Job, and it really is. It's like Inception meets the book of Job. That's what it is. Inception meets the book of Job. That's how I would describe this shift. It is Inception meeting the book of Job. And if you haven't seen the movie Inception, I would highly recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite movies. It is a very, very, very mind thought-provoking movie. Definitely check out Inception. The acting in there was great. So getting back to the shift, right? I say God is missing because throughout this movie has, unfortunately, a humanistic type of center in the movie. And it makes humans, even though it talks about the evilness in man's heart, it talks about the depravity that can happen when man is detached from God. It does highlight that. Hey, I want to say, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button and click subscribe so we can get this message out to as many people as we can, to let them know that They are not victims. They are empowered for greatness.
5 years ago, I was left in this dark place, taken from my wife. The people here have no hope.
You still looking for that wife of yours? You're clinging to scraps of rumors.
But it never talks about how the power of God can come in and change your situation. It never talks about how we have authority as believers to change our situations. As a matter of fact, it kind of gives the enemy, the devil, center stage in this movie.
And then he arrived.
It makes the devil out to be all powerful. It makes the devil out to be the one who's in charge of your life. Even though he is the God of this world, as believers, he has no authority over us. But it makes it seem like believers are stuck under the thumb of the devil, stuck under the thumb of sin, but we're free from sin. But the movie doesn't really demonstrate our victory, the victory that came through the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ and through the blood of Jesus. So I wish the movie would have done a little bit more of that. And like I said, it makes the devil a sympathetic figure in some ways. It actually highlights the devil in this movie. It makes the devil the central figure of the book of Job when God is a central figure of the book of Job. And so that's, if I had to have a critique of the movie, that's one critique. And number two, the movie is probably like 30 to 35 minutes too long. This movie drug on. It really did. It took a little bit longer than it should. But overall, I will say this movie is definitely worth watching. Angel Studios, we must support Christian productions whenever we can. Now, we may disagree on theological things, and I've made a video about The Chosen before where I disagree on theological things. But nevertheless, we must support Christian works when they're truly Christian, when they're trying to spread the gospel, trying to spread the message of Jesus Christ. So would I recommend going to see the movie The Shift? I would. You can take your children to see it. There's nothing in this movie, maybe a few kissing scenes other than that, but no vulgarity and no, definitely no nudity or anything like that that's in this movie. But overall, I would say definitely go check it out. It'll be a good date night. It's a movie worth seeing, and we must support Christian work as much as we can to remind people that they're not victims. We're not victims. We are empowered for greatness. Hey, I want to say, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button and click subscribe so we can get this message out to as many people as we can to let them know that they're not victims, they are empowered for greatness.